The Tommy Campbell Show. This is how Europe is seeing Trump. A magazine cover from Slovenia, his so-called model wife's home country, showing him with an oil drip Hitler mustache after invading Venezuela, or as he calls it, Venezuela. Europe isn't trying to have a laugh here. This isn't Mad Magazine. They are saying Trump talks like some borders are optional and countries are collectibles. Here's Stephen Miller's wife throwing a flag on Greenland and thinking, I'll just share this on social media, which did prompt Newsom to post a mock-up of her passport. Fitting. Greenland is not an empty ice sheet or a spare chunk of land waiting for a buyer. It's an autonomous territory within the Kingdom of Denmark with its own elected government and a population that has repeatedly and unequivocally said it is not for sale. Denmark has backed that position every step of the way, emphasizing sovereignty and making clear that Greenland's future is not Washington's decision to make. Well, it was only a year ago he sent his son and Charlie Kirk, who loves spending time with his family so much that he decided to spend a few days flying to another country for a laugh. Now, the audio was all destroyed in this, so I had some fun with it.
Hello, Greenlandorians. Take me to your leader. Your leader. Is this her? Okay. Yeah, shake a paw. Well, you guys totally don't look like the drummer from Metallica or Connie Nielsen, okay? I thought this was Denmark. What's going on? Now, my father's not with me. He's back with Eric. This is my younger brother. He works the Golden Turd Tongs. It's a complicated process. Maybe Barron will be able to do it one day, but I'm here, and I brought a special surprise. Ivanka will be coming off the plane in like 2 seconds. I'm kidding. There's no way she's going to come to Greenland, okay? She needs a pool, a hot pool. You guys have hot tubs here, right? You have hot tubs? I would love to see Ivanka in one. All right. This guy gets it, all right? This guy gets it. My hot sister would actually melt this country. It'd be dangerous to bring her. Shake a paw. Shake a paw. Shake a paw. Hey, I saw a lot of white stuff when I was flying in. Can anyone tell me, do you just go at that with a rolled up bill or a straw? What's the deal going on? Okay. This guy in his safety vest. Oh my gosh. The Village Idiot. Fantastic. Love it.
Subscribe. Trump has revived the idea of purchasing Greenland outright, floating figures and implying that money could solve the problem. That idea has been flatly rejected by Greenlandic leaders, Danish officials, and indigenous representatives who have called the rhetoric disrespectful and offensive. Polling in Greenland shows overwhelming opposition to any form of U.S. takeover, and Inuit leaders in both Greenland and Canada have emphasized the same point. This is a homeland, not a commodity. Come on, this guy's gonna cut checks? Donald Trump, a man famous for stiffing contractors and not paying his own lawyers, is suddenly Mr. Direct Deposit for the people of Greenland? Rudy Giuliani had to order his latest dentures off Temu because that Trump money never showed up, and he lost everything he had in the bank pushing the big lie. But don't worry, Trump will cut you a check. How does this even work? How does he decide who gets $100,000 and who gets 10? Is this a raffle? A reality show? Are we doing eliminations to get voted off the ice? Is this The Apprentice or one of those beauty pageants for teens he used to run, but colder? This man spends half his time insisting he never set foot on Epstein Island, and now he's trying to acquire a brand new one, pretending he's going to show up like Bone Spur Santa Claus.
I would like to make a deal, the easy way, but if we don't do it the easy way, we're going to do it the hard way. And by the way, I'm a fan of Denmark too. I have to tell you, and they've been very nice to me. I'm a big fan, but the fact that they had a boat land there 500 years ago doesn't mean that they own the land. I'm sure we had lots of boats go there also, but we need that because if you take a look outside of Greenland right now, there are Russian destroyers, there are Chinese destroyers and bigger. There are Russian submarines all over the place. We're not going to have Russia or China occupy Greenland, and that's what they're going to do if we don't. So we're going to be doing something with Greenland, either the nice way or the more difficult way.
Danish defense officials have confirmed that a long-standing directive remains in place. If foreign troops attempt to seize Greenland, Danish forces are legally required to respond immediately. This policy dates back to World War II and was designed to prevent exactly this kind of scenario. From a legal standpoint, a U.S. invasion of Greenland would be a nuclear-level violation of the post-1945 global order. The UN Charter explicitly prohibits the threat or use of force against the territorial integrity of another state. Okay, yes, the U.S. military could seize territory. That's not the question. The question is the cost. Denmark is a NATO ally, and NATO was never designed for a situation where one member attacks another.
Have the Europeans, have the Danes done a proper job of securing Greenland and making sure it can continue to serve as an anchor for world security and missile defense? And the answer is obviously they haven't. They've underinvested in their security. They haven't done a good job of securing that area, that landmass. And what I hear them say is they'll always make an argument about the past. They'll say, well, we fought together in World War II, or we fought together in the war on terrorism. And we're grateful for that. We love having these allies. But just because you did something smart 25 years ago doesn't mean you can't do something dumb now. And the President of the United States is saying very clearly, you are not doing a good job with respect to Greenland. We're going to make sure we defend America's interests. And I think the President's willing to go as far as he has to make sure he does that.
Article 5 isn't an automatic declaration of war. It requires each member to decide how it responds. But an American attack on Denmark would trigger an immediate legitimacy crisis for the alliance itself. NATO's rules assume good faith. They assume members don't invade each other. If the attacker is NATO, you're no longer talking about deterrence. You're talking about an alliance trying to survive while the building is already on fire.
Hello, everybody. I hope all the incredible Green Lanterns are enjoying the visit from Don Jr. If you're not, good news! His trip to Loser Island is as brief as Melanie's fake supermodel career. He's only there for a Scaramucci. You know I'm incredibly serious about buying your island so you could be free, and by that I mean instead of being a Denmark territory, you'd be an American one. And we are so good to them, so good. Have you seen me throw paper towels in Puerto Rico? I just want to melt some ice, take your minerals, and maybe open a casino. We'll see. Just give me everything I want, or Don Jr. stays there forever.
Don't leave us with Don Jr. Melting Arctic ice is opening new shipping routes that didn't exist a generation ago. What used to be frozen dead space is becoming navigable water. That means control over logistics, shipping lanes, military access, and the power projection across the Arctic. The same political movement that denies climate change, mocks it, and calls it a hoax is quietly planning for the advantages climate change creates. They don't believe in global warming unless it helps them move aircraft carriers faster. So yeah, it's a fair question. Is this why conservatives don't care about climate change? Are they actually cheering this on? Because melting ice is bad for everyone, unless you're trying to redraw the maps. Greenland is often mentioned alongside critical minerals and rare earth elements, which always sounds like something out of a Marvel movie. In a world with diminishing critical minerals and rare earth elements, one orange idiot. Quick translation, they're not actually rare in the everyday sense. Lots of countries have them. They're just expensive, environmentally messy, and politically complicated to extract. Greenland's appeal isn't that it's sitting on magical metals no one else has. It's about leverage. Who controls supply chains? Who controls extraction? Who controls access as demands rise? This is positioning. This is future bargaining power. This is owning pieces of the board before everyone realizes the game has changed.
I borrowed my father's plane, totally normal stuff, to fly to Greenland and gather some homeless Greenlandorians from under a bridge and parade them around. Free hats for all, Sean. Then Donald called us, and they spent a lot of money on a cafe lunch for all of them, exploiting the unfortunate, creating very fake news about Greenland and the Greenlandorians, pretending that they just want to be American, and it's not the case, but, it doesn't matter, Sean.
Canada's taking a very different approach, one rooted in diplomacy and engagement rather than bravado. Ottawa's announced plans to open a consulate in Greenland, strengthening diplomatic, cultural, and economic ties with Greenlandic authorities and signaling long-term engagement. Opening a consulate isn't symbolic fluff. It's a statement that Canada intends to be at the table, not shouting from the sidelines. While the Trump orbit cheers on force and loudly talks about taking land, Canada is building relationships and respecting sovereignty. By now, you've spent days seeing Minneapolis from every camera angle possible, while JD Vance, Donald Trump, and the right wing are still trying to convince the world that our eyes and ears aren't working, which is rich considering Trump just admitted in an interview that his own hearing isn't great. And I don't think the guy that raw dogged the eclipse and confused E. Jean Carroll with his ex-wife Marla Maples has what one would call eagle vision. And just to clear something up, because there's been some confusion floating around, this is Jonathan Ross, the beloved British TV host and comedian. This is Jonathan Ross, the man Trump, Vance, and Kristi Noem claimed was run over and dragged by a domestic terrorist in a coordinated attack. Newsom posted all hat, no clue, and I do love the enormous hat on cyborg reject Kristi Noem, but I don't think she is confused at all. I think she knows exactly what happened, and she's fine with it. And that's the terrifying part. Theater jacker Lauren Boebert, who's recently been distancing herself from Trump over the Epstein files, rushed out a post saying, "I stand with ICE," responding to the absurd claim that liberals have been begging for someone to get killed. No, what people have been begging for is ICE to stop this aggressive, reckless approach. What happened was awful and completely unnecessary. Look at Renee Good moments before this happened. This is what had this so-called super soldier so freaked out. This is who they're claiming was coordinated and trained. Donald Trump called her a professional troublemaker. It blows my mind how quickly some people go from zero to lethal force. I've said for years, the come and take it crowd isn't about defense. They are just waiting for an excuse to use their guns. It's all they care about, using their guns. And the right's reaction to this has been nothing but disgraceful.
The woman who lost her life was a self-proclaimed poet from Colorado, with pronouns in her bio. A 37-year-old white woman named Renee Good. The Daily Mail says she leaves behind a lesbian partner and a child from a previous marriage. She was a disruptor, though she considered herself a legal observer. But there's no evidence she had a law degree.
It's not reporting, it's dehumanizing her, so no one in his audience has to stop and think, maybe this was wrong. Let's move on to a Jesse with something intelligent to say. Former Minnesota Governor Jesse Ventura visited his old high school where federal agents had tackled students, used pepper spray, and ICE presence shut down classes, and kids were sent home.
I took an oath to defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. I view after January 6th, the Republican Party as a domestic enemy to our Constitution. I can't get any bolder than that, can I? I spent 17 months in Southeast Asia while the draft dodger was playing golf. You know how I know we're a third world country? Because in third world countries, they have the military doing their police work in the cities when you walk around. You want to read something? Then read your history of Germany and start comparing the tactics of what happened in 1930s Germany to what's happening here. The military cannot be turned loose unless it's a national emergency. They're going to tell me this is a national emergency? Here I was leading a nice quiet life, and now you've injected me back in here and probably going to make me the governor of Minnesota again. He's the draft-dodging coward who, when it was his time to serve his country, he did what all rich white boys did. I wasn't a rich white boy. I grew up in South Minneapolis. Most of me and all my friends are Vietnam veterans. We had to go. But the rich white boys never had to go, did they? And he didn't have to go, did he? And yet he's going to tell me what courage is?
Well said, 10 out of 10, no notes. I love watching the guy from Predator going after the predator in the White House. Will Ventura jump into the governor's race? He's 74, which in 2026 basically makes him a spring chicken. And honestly, I think we'd all pay good money to see him debate Mike Lindell, who's been seriously silent on all of this. What a time to be alive. You know, you used to get the day off school because of a massive snowstorm. Now it's because Trump dumped his private army on your city. Jesse mentioned Germany in the 30s, and right on cue, you've got JD Vance at a press conference doubling down, saying ICE is going to go door to door, like he's threatening Nazi Amway on America.
Speaking of Greenland, there's a question for you that I want to pose. What is the difference between Greenland and Donald Trump? Greenland is not for sale.
funny stuff, and this is who could be running against Jesse Ventura or Mike Lindell or both. Again, would pay to see that debate. Trump for Evet. It was too challenging for you to spell forever, so you went the multi-tap abbreviated route and still couldn't get it right. Are you sending this from the Nokia 3310 you bought at the pawn shop with your allowance? The truth is, Trump's stank has definitely changed the world, but things will course correct, and I wouldn't say he'll be around forever. He won't even be around much longer if the swollen ankles, makeup-slathered, bruised hand, babbling orange idiot continues to scarf down hamburgers and aspirin. Magateers. Nobody think you funny. I'm hilarious. And I think the over 140,000 subscribers here and the millions of streams of my stand-up comedy on Spotify backs that up. Nobody thinks you funny. If you struggle to form a sentence, I think it's a stretch that you'll get a joke. The only time you laugh is when your gerbil licks the great value peanut butter off your tiny sack on date night. Magateers. Saying ICE is going to go door to door like he's threatening Nazi Amway. Nazi Amway. I should be laughing, but you know. Theater jacker Lauren Boebert. Theater jacker. There's no ambiguity. No diggity. There's no diggity there. Rudy Giuliani had to order his latest dentures. Do I need dentures? My talking today is all over the place. The Tommy Campbell Show is the best political comedy show on YouTube. And I hope you subscribe.